Okay, cool. Okay, guys, so we are going to start. This webinar has been organized by the weekly fasting group. It is the group of the individuals who cultivate the habit of fasting for 24 hours a day, 24 hours a day. No, sorry, for 24 hours every week, week after week. So we fast between Friday and Saturday. And it's a support group that is operating on WhatsApp. And we have individuals from all over the world who cultivate this habit. And there are also people who extend their weekly fast up to 36 hours and more. So it's lots of fun, actually. And if you're watching this video later on YouTube, and if those ideas appeal to you, you're welcome to contact me. My name is Arik. I am the moderator of this group. And send me a message. My WhatsApp number is below this video, and I will happily add you to the group. And today we have with us Jerome Shaw. Namaste. Thank you so much. And we are going to talk about vegetarian path, about pranic lifestyle, about fasting, about the difference between fasting and pranic living. So Jerome, we are still waiting for more people to come. Meanwhile, for the people who don't know you, could you please present yourself and tell us a little bit about your personal story, what brought you to this path, the main steps in your spiritual and vegetarian evolution and things like that?
Of course. And thank you once again, Arik, for inviting me. Thank you for, just always being so available for your group, for your people, for the participants in different ways of living, and for people who want to come together to enjoy life in ways that we often don't realize are possible. And that's what kind of brought me into this life. And I'm still on this journey. I still have a lot of growing to do. I still have a lot of learning to do. I'm by no means, a master or a guru or any of those things. I'm learning just like all of you. So I'm privileged. It's a pleasure. It's an honor to be a part of this group again, and these capacities that we. So thank you, Arik, for continuing to keep this going, because your level of consistency is unmatched, from when you started this group years ago. It's just awesome to be able to see the growth and the potential for even more growth as the years go on. So I just wanted to thank you. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Jerome. And I just want to say that it's just the beginning. I believe it will grow much more. We'll explore different modalities of healing, because we need to bring light into this world. We need to bring more health in the holistic sense into this pretty sick situation in which many people find themselves now. So we just basically need to bring lots of light in the world with different healing modalities, because people are different. So what might be suitable for one person might not be suitable for another. And we need to explore and be open-minded towards different healing modalities, and to experiment on ourselves and to try to help others. And it's a really, really interesting journey.
Yeah, absolutely it is. And one of the things that I enjoy is that your group is like a no judgment zone. It's a judgment-free zone.
Absolutely.
When every Friday, when everyone talks about whatever fast they're going to be doing, and they tell what country and continent they're coming from, and they say they're going to be dry fasting, or they're going to be water fasting, or they're going to be juice fasting or orange fasting. There's no judgment placed on the type of fasting that people are going to be doing.
Yeah, absolutely. In this group, we do not judge people, absolutely, like by their dietary choices. It's their personal matter, their fasting choices. Yeah, we do not judge. We are here to learn. And if there is someone who gets judgmental towards other people's choices, like they get warning and then they just get thrown out of the group, because we really wanted to keep judgment-free zone, learning zone. Yeah. Okay.
So, coming into this, for me, I believe it started around 2019, where I came off of a situation that I was in, a relationship that I was in for a good length of time. And in that relationship, I had become accustomed to so many levels of density, and I didn't even see it that way. My relationship with food has grown and changed over the years. I used to see it as a necessity. Then there were times I saw it as a drug, as an addiction. And then there were times where I just saw it as an experience, as just a form of enjoyment. So I've kind of played with so many ways when it comes to food, and the relationship sometimes has been very unhealthy, very hazardous, but then other times it's been healing. So it's just been an in and out journey. When it comes to fasting, I started to get more of a relationship with myself internally and who I am and actually my body. And I came to discover that what I felt on a deep level was that my body has its own intelligence and that it knows what to do. It understands beyond my understanding, beyond my conscious mind, beyond my logical and analytical thinking, that my body is doing things and there's processes that are going on even as I speak that I'm unaware of and that I'm not in direct control. And thank goodness, thank goodness that my body is able to do things like breathe for me, pump for me, and live for me while I am just living and giving. My body's doing all these things on its own. So I didn't really have that conscious awareness coming up, and I didn't have the reverence that I'm coming into today when it comes to my body and the things that it can do on its own. So realizing that it's constitution to be healthy, and that a lot of times I was getting in the way of a natural process, thinking that I knew more than I did when it came to what my body needed or what I thought that I needed to thrive and survive and stay alive. Now I'm realizing that reprogramming and deprogramming these things has been essential for me. So thank you for the question.
Good. Okay, Jerome. So so please tell us, I know that recently you published few books about Pranic path, about your, I don't know if you could tell us a little bit more about that, about the difference between those two books, and what is the ideal, who did you aim them at while writing them? Whatever you feel, whatever feels right to you. I'm really, really interested to know.
Yeah. And thank you. I'm glad that people are even willing to allow a new idea to penetrate, and to permeate their systems, to understand that there is an option, that we do have these choices. When it comes to the pranic path and how to grow it from the mind of a poet, that was just something that was really inspiring for me. I feel like there are certain times, and you might agree, Arik, where you might have planned action, but then there's also inspired action. There's times you do something because you just feel something yearning and burning within you. I have to get this out here. I have to express this. There's something in me that has a feeling that I want to give this, and I can't contain it any longer. Your cup just starts to run. So that was what the first book was for me. When it came to, I just started writing, I just started typing from the heart space, let go of the mind, let go of my senses. And I really just tapped in and connected to the experiences that I had when I was coming into this journey, coming into this new way of living, coming into these subtle forms of energy, connecting to nature in ways that I had never connected to before. And then also receiving the judgment, receiving the negativity from family, from friends, from people in my social networks, from people who weren't understanding what this was doing and the level of robust health that I was starting to feel, the level of energy that was starting to just really ooze from me. And I felt so good, but in other people's eyes, I didn't look good. I looked to them, I looked very unhealthy. I looked gaunt, I looked frail, I looked thin, I looked weak. But to me, I felt powerful, I felt alive, I felt, exhilarated. And to be able to experience that and to be a baby, I guess a baby breatharian, somebody on the path who just came into the knowledge that this was even possible for them, to not really understand the level of energy and to just kind of be making my way through it. When that energy came my way and I wasn't ready for it, it plunged me into a downward spiral of guilt, of shame, of blame, and playing that game, you know, not understanding and how I was to deal with this energy that was coming from my loved ones, you know, people who care about you, people who love you, and they might not understand what you're doing, may place projections on you, you know, because their projections become part of that reflection, and they're not understanding your deeper connection with something that might be beyond their limited understanding. But when we see that there are no limits, and when I tapped into that, when it backfired on me, I started to go into binging. I started to go into what you might label as food disorders. And I started to really go into this binging, purging cycle of unhealthiness, where I couldn't even look myself in the mirror and enjoy who I was looking at. It really felt like, who are you? Why are you doing this to yourself? And there were even times where I started to hug myself and even had tears shedding, because we know as we're fasting, there are so many forms of release, you know, forms of detox and forms of letting go and shedding what was before, shedding the old to make room for the new. And as you become lighter, more light comes in. And when you get adjusted to that lighter form of nourishment, it can really feel the effects a lot more powerfully when you go back into a dense, you know, form of food, you know? So that happened to me, and that's what I talk about, specifically my journey on the Pranic path in that book. And the second book, A Hunger for Freedom, that recently just came out after a trip to Sedona, where we met Shayna Dean and Elitam Elamin, and have these focus groups and these conscious conversations when it comes to meditation being the foundation, being its own form of medication, and really enjoying this energetic nourishment that is nourishing and flourishing throughout everything, blossoming, blooming throughout us and our bodies. That really, really excited me and enthused me. And it was a form of empowerment for me to let somebody else know, hey, guess what? You know, you can do it too. If I can do it, I know you can do it, because I didn't even believe it was possible for me. So, yeah.
Yeah, Jerme, who would you recommend your first book, and who would you recommend your second book? What kind of readers?
Yeah, you know, the same as us, the curious ones, the people who are seeking, the seekers, the ones who feel like perhaps there could be more. I feel like there's always, within each one of us, it's almost like a part of our programming that we understand that this is not all there is. There's a quote by Bruce Lee, and it says that there are no limits. There are only plateaus, and we must not stay there. We must go beyond them. So anyone who is a seeker, who has the understanding that there is more to explore than what they thought before, that would be the person that might enjoy this book, you know? And it's not to say that we're pushing anything on anyone, or we're trying to force anybody or convert anybody to a certain belief, or just to give you an idea of what things could be like. That was what one of my mentors told me, Raki Shari, if you know her, the breatharian yogini.
Yeah. I would love actually to invite her. I don't have connection to her, but if you maybe through you, because you know her, maybe we could invite her somehow. We'll keep in touch about that.
Yeah. I think you would enjoy it. You would enjoy having a talk with her as well.
Absolutely.
And that was one of the things that I remember her saying when she began, was just the idea of, wouldn't it be nice? Wouldn't it be nice? Those 4 words. Wouldn't it be nice if we didn't have to eat? Wouldn't it be nice if we could live this way, if we could live that way? Wouldn't it be nice? And just those 4 words led her on this wonderful journey that she's still on today. And I believe at this moment, she's been, you know, around 4 years so far without solids, which is just amazing to me, because my journey has been more of a roller coaster of going up and down, in and out, you know, but hers is just kind of like, her trajectory seems a lot more steady when it comes to dealing with the emotions, and then even coming into that spiritual awareness where things really start to evolve at a certain point.
Yeah, absolutely. Jerome, how's your relationship with food right now? Like, are you eating? Are you not eating? And how often? And are you drinking? So if you could tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah. So there was a period last year of around 9 or so months where I just went without solids totally. And then it got to a point where I almost felt a sense of, is this a spiritual ego? You know, why I keep turning down this food? You know, and I got inspired, of course, by Ray Mayor, because he has a book called A Year Without Food.
Yeah.
And I got inspired by so many readings, you know, Hilton Hotema's Man's Higher Consciousness. And so as I was going into it and it became my lifestyle, there did come a time where it was me questioning myself of, why am I really doing this? You know, what is my why? And they say, when you know your why, you can accomplish any how.
Yeah.
And so I had to be specific on that. And when I did go back to eating and I felt the heaviness, I felt, you know, the effects on my body that were magnified. I mean, you're talking about even a soup, like a tomato soup. And I started bloating, my feet started getting what is it called? Edema?
Edema, yeah.
Edema. So if you know the sensations when you start seeing swelling in different areas that this never happened to you before, and you're like, what is going on here? And so feeling the heart palpitations, and then even when I went heavy into solids, to be very honest with you, there were times where I felt like I had messed up completely. Like, Jerome, you've messed up. You're gonna die. I thought I was gonna die.
Wow.
And I felt this suffocation, like there was a rock lodged into my body, and it felt as though my organs had conformed to a new way of being, and they were now being forced to adjust back to a previous, you know, form of being. And now it was like this thing was trying to be digested, and it wasn't digested. It wasn't at all, you know. So those were scary times. So lately I've been really taking it easy. I'm in no rush, you know, to go full on breatharian when it comes to fully pranic, living completely on the, you know, on the energy, on the air. I'm just really just being patient with myself, because I ran into those complications when I wasn't patient, when I thought that this was a race. Now I understand it's not a race, it's a journey. There's no end destination. We just keep growing.
Yeah. So on the practical level, how does your food intake look like now? Like, do you consume a particular kind of food, like fruits or raw foods, or you consume everything, or you like or you like how does it look like right now?
Yeah, I stay within the vegan realm, you know, with no animal products. So if it would be like salads. I'm not particularly inclined to fruit unless it's in the juice form. So if it's in liquid form, I enjoy juices, but I've never been big on eating fruit. So it would either be, you know, salads, soups, and juices. Those would be the forms. Yeah.
Okay.
On fast. Usually I go on the longer fast when I get into big communities, when I get around people. So we just had this trip to Sedona with Shanadine and Elitam. And so that was fast that I enjoyed, just being liquid the whole time, not having to worry about, you know, different levels of consumption, and also being able to absorb the information a lot more when you feel a lot lighter.
Yeah, and when you say liquid, you mean like juices or teas or water? What kind of liquids did you consume during this time?
Right, so coconut water is my favorite. That's my favorite kind of water. Also, juices, blueberry juice, the naked juice, like different types of juices. I like those fruit juices as well.
Nice. Jerome, so let's get back to your book. So, so if I read your first book, what is its name again?
The first book is The Pranic Path and How to Grow It.
Yes. So if I'm interested in getting onto the pranic path, but I don't have much experience. I just like the idea, and I'm willing to explore this option. What can I learn from your first book that might assist me to proceed on this path?
The first book gives you an idea of just really the feeling state and the things that you might expect, or the things that you may or may not come into on this journey. It really is more coming from my own experience.
So could you give an example? Could you give an example from life?
Right. So for example, when I was in downtown Los Angeles and I got a phone call from my parents, and it was my mom and father telling me that they didn't approve of this way of living. They didn't approve of my actions. They didn't approve of my lifestyle. And me deal with those, the consequences of my actions and dealing with those things on my own, and what that felt. But it's all in poetry form. So down the path of how it started, where it went, and how it's come thus far on that journey. But I'm doing it all in a poetry form, kind of like a children's book. So you can read it in a way that it's awakening the inner child, allowing you to, and just infusing more of that curiosity that we might have. Yeah.
Wow, that is so interesting. So this whole book is like a one big poem. That's how it is built?
For the majority. The last part of the book is questions and answers. So questions that people have actually asked me about it. So the last part is more practical, more practical things from experience and from the things that I've come into understanding. And I do give references to other people's books like Akai and Camilla, Jasmine, Elitam, and I'm just allowing people to go find for themselves, to do their own research, not to take my word, but to find out their own, to make their own discoveries.
Very interesting. And so would you say that your second book is more advanced? Like a person should read the first one and then proceed to the second one?
So the first one has forms of nourishment and things on the pranic path, things that are removed from food entirely. The second book delves deeper into fasting when it comes to the different ways of fasting, the intermittent fasting, the alternate day fasting, the juice, the dry, the water, all of those, the effects, the benefits, the durations, the different types and dynamics. Then it also goes into breatharianism, what people have thought it to be and what I believe it to be. Then it goes into pranic living. It also goes into food freedom, just taking yourself and removing yourself from the judgment and the morality of certain things, and cultivating a deeper or even a better relationship, a healthier relationship with food entirely, which I've had to do. And one that is not, one that is more holistic, I guess you could say. And then in the end, when it goes into pranic living, it goes to the different forms as well, the meditation, the qigong, the energy work, and the different types of things that are all forms of you being able to get energy and derive it from other sources other than what we're accustomed to, what we're used to, which is a dense form.
And does it provide practical advice for people, for example, practical techniques, either physical techniques such as qigong or different mental techniques? Does it provide real tools for the real application for a person?
Absolutely.
So could you give an example? For example, what kind of tools can a person learn from there in order to increase their pranic intake?
So meditation is a big one. And that was one that really started to allow the cells within me to come online. When I started meditating, and I started with one of these meditations that Jasmine had, she has these guided meditations on pranic living.
Right.
You
I
hear
have a few of them, yeah.
Right. So when you hear those affirmations in your ears, and it's very calming, and you get into that theta state, the theta brainwave state, where I remember hearing from Cristiana El Chayan from Romania, talking about brainwave states where it is more conducive for conductivity, and where pranic intake is more powerful, is more potent in those brainwave states, where we're usually arriving in beta, but when we go down to theta and delta, when we're in that relaxed state, That can come from sitting down, it can come from standing up, it can come from just being still, or it can come from even slow forms of movement like Tai Chi. You can still bring that energy into the body. So those are some practical exercises that you can do. Meditation, it doesn't really matter so much as the specific type of meditation, but I put emphasis on the one that you like, the one that feels good to you, because that's going to do most often. And that's the one that's going to be long lasting for you, because you're going to last longer doing the one that you like versus the one that you feel is forcing.
Yeah.
So what I feel like this journey is not really a forcing journey, it's more of a flowing journey. It's not like we're trying to resist, but more we're trying to relax. It's not like we're just, strive for something, but it's more of a letting go, releasing. Yeah.
Very interesting. And tell me, what about fasting? Like, what exactly are you saying about fasting there in the second book?
In the second book, there's a lot of there's a big old chapter on fasting when it comes to the different forms of fasting, the autophagy, the things that happen, the human growth hormone, a lot of the things that happen that scientifically I'm not, equipped to explain everything that goes on, but there's just marvelous studies that have already been done in different countries and continents on people that have such healing powers when they fast, by just letting so many miraculous things start to happen. And when we talk about those things, it starts to give somebody more of the idea that maybe it's not a nutrient that I'm looking for. Maybe it's not a certain mineral or a vitamin that I'm looking for, but perhaps what I'm looking for is nothing at all. Perhaps I already have what I need. And when you start to look within and you say, okay, could it be possible that my body in this present moment has everything it needs to sustain life on this plane?
Okay.
Yeah.
Wow. And do you give practical advice there regarding starting how to fast, how to approach fasting?
Yes, I let people know to start where you are with what you have. You don't need to rush anything. Just like you look at nature, Arik, when you look at flowers, when you look at trees, when you look at plants.
Yeah.
Nature never hurries, yet everything is accomplished.
Yeah.
And we are nature. So just like nature doesn't jump or make huge giant leaps, we also like to make small steps.
Okay.
The sun likes to make small steps. It doesn't like things that are way beyond the scope of our comfort zone. Yeah. And we stretch a little bit more like yoga. So these are practical ways that I started to learn to not be too hard on myself, not to be too critical as we're usually doing on ourselves, but to be gentle, have that tender love and care to know, okay, it was a process to get here. So wherever I'm going from here is going to be its own process, and to be patient through the process.
Yeah. Okay. And Jerme, so what's your take on this this idea of having a goal of becoming vegetarian versus just following your intuition and going step by step? Like, what is the place of having a goal there? Is it needed to have a goal?
Well, it can help some people. For some people, having a goal in mind can definitely help, because when we talk about having a sense of direction, there's things that say, if you don't know where you're going, any road will take you there, or where you're going, you may end up where you're headed, if you don't know where you're going. So to at least have a sense of direction, to say in your mind, you have a vision of where you would like to be. And to hold that vision, there's an automatic system. It's like they talk about the subconscious that is guiding you there. Like a GPS it's an internal guidance system that can lead you to where you want to go, as long as you hold the vision of where you see yourself to be. Yeah.
Okay, I see. Okay, guys, so I'm addressing our viewers, our listeners right now. If you have any questions, for Jerome. So you just unmute yourself and ask your questions. We also have a few questions in the chat that we got on WhatsApp, but guys, please feel free. And if you don't have any questions, then I will ask you questions from WhatsApp. Okay, so I will read so actually we received a few questions from two different people. One person is asking, I have a question for Jerome. How is the body converted from a water body to electrical body on a vegetarian lifestyle, on which you don't consume any food or water? Okay, I'm just, this sentence is built in a little bit strange way. Okay, so basically the question is about transformation from water body to electrical body. And then she's asking, what transformation takes place in the body? So could you tell us a little bit? So yeah, so what kind of transformation is that from our water body to the electricity body? I don't like whatever it tells you.
Yeah, so that's a very interesting question. And who was it that asked that question?
Hetal, she's we also had a few webinars with her, and she's an Ayurvedic practitioner and a long-term fasting practitioner, and she's into different healing modalities.
Hetal,
Hetal, Hetal, Hetal.
Hetal. Oh, thank you for this question. You know, marvelous question. You know, us being made of water, as they say, but us also being electrical beings. I feel like we already are electrical. And it's interesting how you can increase the level of electricity and increase the levels of magnetism. So if the electricity is increasing, that means the magnetism is also increasing. And when you're in meditation, this is what I have found. When I'm in Qigong, when I'm in Tai Chi, when I'm in movement, or when I'm just sitting down in stillness, there were times where I felt that Kundalini rising. And I can recall doing a long meditation one day and something switched in my body. It was something clicked. And this had never happened to me before, Arik, but it was my body came into alignment.
Wow.
And I felt this electricity going up and down my spine, up and down, up and down. And I can only equate it to what people would call a Kundalini awakening. Okay. And I was in total bliss all day long. It was like an energetic orgasm that was on, and I couldn't turn it off. It was all day long. And even as I speak about it, you know, I'm getting emotional because I never knew that that was possible for me, for my body. And it wasn't a sexual feeling. It wasn't anything like an experience that I had with another person. It was just me. I was all alone. So it blew my mind to the idea that we are much more than we give ourselves credit. We are much more than we even realize. And there are just so many ways to open ourselves up. And what I did sitting down in meditation, in that long silent meditation, that was only one way. So I like Dr. Wayne Dyer, when Dr. Wayne Dyer talks about how there's your way and there's my way, but there is no right way. You know, there's no one way to make it up the side of a mountain. There's multiple paths, and you can make it up the same side. You can have the same view. You can see the same horizons, but you don't have to go up the same way. So, yeah.
Okay, very interesting. So basically, if we are trying to answer her question, about
yeah, so getting more electricity in the body, you can do that through forms of meditation, through relaxation, through allowing yourself to build in that electricity, and you start to see things magnetize, you know, and it won't take long. It won't take long for you to recognize, and for other people, they might recognize it before you do, and they'll look at you, they'll see something's different about you, you know?
Okay, interesting. Okay, guys, do you have any questions for Jerome?
I saw that there was someone's hand up. I don't know if they...
Yeah. Let's see. I don't see it from here, but maybe I don't look at the right direction. So guys, if you have any questions, please just unmute yourself and ask.
No.
Hi.
And thank you for joining once again. Yeah.
Hi, Jerome.
Yes.
You hear me? It's Sunita. How are you?
Hi there.
Hi. Congratulations on book number 2. That's amazing. I just wanted to know, you mentioned that your parents were not supportive of your lifestyle. How did that make you feel, and how did you overcome it? Did you manage to get them around? Did you, finally get some support in the end, or was it still something that you chose to do irrespective of how they felt? How did that make you feel with all this?
Great question, Sunita. You know, being in close proximity, for some people, seeing is believing. For others, believing is seeing. They can believe it before they see it. They can have faith. Like they say, faith is an acronym for following all in thy heart. But for others, it takes more than just faith. It takes more than just belief. They need concrete proof that something is helping you, that something is blessing you in ways that they don't see the blessing. They might see it as a curse, like you're cursing your own body. For me, my parents, you know, coming from a religious background, raised Christian, and, you know, even though there's fasting in the Bible, they looked at what I was doing as going against the natural order of things, going against what they felt was nutritionally, you know, necessary for me. So when I got myself around my parents and I was in close proximity with them in their environment, and they were able to see the ways that I maneuvered and operated without that need of the things that they thought were essential, it changed them. It started to change them over time, and they were able to physically see, okay, he's okay. Okay, a week goes by, he's fine. 2 weeks goes by, a month goes by, he's still alive? Okay, and then the questions, they stopped. They stopped asking questions.
And when you wrote your book, must have been really thrilled, when they found that your book was so successful. And are they proud of you now? Are they supportive?
They're supportive, you know, from afar. They enjoy knowing that I'm following my heart, I'm following my own intuition, and that I'm doing something that's fulfilling and meaningful to me. That's really all they care about, you know, in the end. They just want to know that I'm doing well for myself, and yeah, they understand that now. So thank you. Yeah.
Lovely. And in terms of the Pranic following that you have, is it specific to your area? Is it now, I mean, do you travel all over with that message, or with the book now being launched? Or how are you planning to go different cities and spread the word? Or what are you planning? What's your next step?
I would love to. You know, I'm going somewhere very soon, very shortly. And I feel like this next part of my journey is going to be more of a test of my own endurance and conditioning, but also being in an environment that is not so, you know, there's a saying, Sunita, it's like, throw me to the wolves and I will return leading the pack. Have you ever heard that saying?
Yes. Very well.
Yeah. So that's where I feel like I'm going right now. I'm kind of about to throw myself into the wolves, you know, into the lion's den, in order to really shape and mold to have that pressure like a diamond and to come out shining. I don't know what's going to happen, but I know that it's going to be for the highest good, you know, because I want to extend and stretch my comfort zone so that I can be left with even a more powerful testimony. Because that's why I'm always inspired by others. I'm inspired by this group. I'm inspired by Arik. I'm inspired by you. I'm inspired by people who are willing to do things beyond the scope, beyond the realm of others' reality, you know, to push the limits of what they think they have. And so I want the same thing, and I want to continue to challenge myself to do the same thing. So when it comes to spreading this message, any way that I know how, any way that I can, if people are inviting me to go somewhere and to have a sit down with a group of individuals, I'm all for it. So wherever life is leading me, I'm willing to go.
Wow. So basically you're really stepping out of your comfort zone and thinking out of the box kind of thing. But that can also be scary, right? I mean, because it takes you away from what you are very familiar with. And that kind of thing can also put not necessarily fear, but you know, that insecurity of you don't know what's out there.
Right.
But that sense of adventure and challenge is what's taking you to that next level, and that I think that is brilliant that you've got that more than you've got the fear, because the fear is always there, but it's not gonna, you know, overwhelm you compared to the sense of adventure that you've taken forward. And your book, you know, is I mean, when you wrote the book, did you have any idea what was what was your main purpose of writing the second book?
The second book, you know, the main purpose was really getting more of this information out there. When you type it in Google, or even when you type it in Amazon, there are things that you just don't readily find. You don't readily find this information as accessible as you find other information when it comes to dieting, or other information when it comes to different lifestyles and different forms of spirituality and meditation. I feel like we are still the first fruits, like my mentor Eli Tom likes to say, we're still very fresh in this way of living, but it's continually rising. So wanting to be one of the people, like you are a pioneer when it comes to this. You might not think of yourself that way, but we're still so young in something that we're coming back to. These ancient practices that we're remembering in this time are still young in the eyes of so many people, and the ears of so many people. So to even be a part of this right here, this group, where you're able to do something every week that many people won't even do for half a day, you know, that's amazing. You know what I mean?
Very true. Thank you so much, Jerome, and good luck.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah. Oh, okay, guys, do you have any more questions?
Hello. Hi.
Hi.
Hello, Vidal. Hello.
I wanted to ask, just like you said, we're pioneers. Like, we are learning things as we go. We are inspiring one another. That is, I mean, there's no one to teach us, because I was wondering what are, I'm also trying to figure it with myself all the time. What is your final goal? I mean, what are you trying to reach? What have you reached? What do you think you've achieved so far? You know, I'm also all the time trying to figure out things for myself. Just like you said, there's nowhere to look things up. I mean, we have to think for try to answer our questions ourselves, help one another. So, you know, I just want to hear, you know, other people. What are your goals? What did you think? Do you think you've reached some of the goals? I mean, along the way as we go.
And one more time, your name. One more time.
Revital. Yeah, it's written in Hebrew. I keep changing it, and it comes back to
Ravital.
I'll write it down.
Okay, beautiful, beautiful. Yes, you know, Arik was asking me earlier about goals and having goals, and it's good to have an intention. And I want to have a positive intention all the time when I'm doing anything. When it comes to my goals about myself, my aspirations, my dreams, my visions, I tend to stay more in the present moment. And there were times when meditation and forms of energetic nourishment, when I came into states and feeling states of being with fasting, it was able to give me answers to questions I had not even asked. Have you ever had the feeling that you're receiving answers for things that you never even asked? Like they're just coming to you.
Intuition. I don't know. I all of a sudden I have insights. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So that exploration of intuition, that exploration of what's next, you know, like, I don't know what is next. I don't know what comes next. And that is what makes it such a fun journey, to be a part of this ever evolving, ever changing, ever growing, ever flowing journey, that next week I could be someplace entirely different, doing something entirely new, but in the ways that I want to still be empowering others. I want to still be enlightening myself, and I want to still be learning in whatever capacity that I choose to be in I want to always be growing. So this feels like the perfect way to continuously be growing because there is no end, you know? There's no end to it. I don't see that there is a point where I'll be at, like the top of one mountain, the peak of one mountain is just the bottom of the next. And that's the bottom of the next. And there's always just another point. So to answer your question, I feel like for me, it's just always a constant state of growth. And what encourages me to stay on this path is that I know that if I am able to learn something new and I am able to teach something new, then somebody else is able to pass that on to someone else. Like the ripples continue to make waves that continue to affect the collective with your new perspective. Every time you make a change, physiologically, physically, mentally, on that level, it's changing everything around you, you know, in your environment, in the people, in the lives that you touch. And I would say that that would be like your legacy, you know, not the things that you acquire, but in the people that you touch, you know, the lives that you touch, everything that you do that influences everyone, that has an impact, that is something that no one can take away. And no one can take away that form of inspiration. So I feel like that's been a gift that we've been given to keep on giving. And that's the secret to living, in my opinion.
You're a poet.
Uh-huh.
Rhymes all the time.
Oh,
And specifically in terms of food, the relationship with food, what you probably want to be a 400% breatharian. And I mean, what have you reached so far? Do you think, or do you believe that you can, I don't know, the relationship with, you know, food and this journey of trying to, you know, eat, okay, I'll be also poetic, eat as light, live, and little as possible. You know, this is the, I think, the general direction. So with ups and downs, of course.
right, ups and downs always. Yeah, it hasn't been a straight path. Definitely ups and downs. Yeah. So,
but in general, do you think that you've made more progress? Like we make 2 steps forward and then 1 step backwards, but in general, we are making progress. I mean, it's not a direct straight line, but yeah.
I love that you said that. I love that because that's actually a chapter in my book. That's literally the title of a chapter, is 1 step forward, 2 steps back. You know, it can feel like we're making that sometimes, like we're going back, we're going forward, we're going back and forth. And to be able to understand that if you've had the experience, if your body understands that it's possible, if you've been able to tap into something beyond the scope, like for me, I'm in no rush to get back to that point where I was before. I'm in no hurry, because I felt like when I was trying to make things happen, it backfired on me. The most miraculous experiences that I've had have been when I wasn't even trying, you know, when I was simply
letting go.
Exactly. The times when I wasn't trying so hard to make something happen, but when I just let go, that's when everything occurred. When I can remember, and this was after, I guess, it was around 14 days or so when I was dry. And this was going into the retreat, the first Pranic retreat that I had been in 2020, it was in January. And so coming out of that retreat, going so many days without food and water, I came to this place where I was in the park. And I remember being around all these people and they were all walking around me, but it was like I was in a whole different world because the air around me felt thick. It was like I could feel the moisture in the air and tears came down my eyes. I wanted to tell everyone. I thought I was going crazy. Like, can you realize you're going crazy? Like everyone is eating, everyone's doing all these things and you're not doing any of it. You're in this in-between place where you're just existing. but you're existing without anything that you thought you needed. And I had to tell somebody, but when I tried to tell people, of course, they weren't having that. They weren't understanding that. They thought I was crazy. So that feeling that I had, that feeling of bliss and of oneness with my environment, I now know that that's possible. So I have somewhere that I understand is possible for me, and I'm in no rush to get back there, because I know that if I try to rush and get back there, it will backfire on me. The body needs time. It just needs time. Yeah.
So in general, you are making progress. I mean, also sometimes regressing, but then, well, I forgot what I wanted to ask.
Yeah. Even at times, the regression can be a progression, because sometimes, like you said, the 2 steps back and 1 step forward.
No, the other way around. 2 steps forward.
1 step back.
In general, we're making progress. It's sometimes regressing, but on the whole, it's a progress.
Right.
I wanted to ask something and I've forgotten. So yeah, sometimes. Oh yeah, now I remember. So actually, like we're the crazy one, but with what's going on around the world, sometimes it feels like, it's so sick. Just like you said, Arik, everything is so, it's so sick. So actually, we've got such a great potential with everybody. The way the world is now, where everybody is now, actually, there's so much. We have so much potential if people detoxed. If they were functioning properly, if they weren't drowning in the toxins, and the brain was, that they're not thinking straight. They're not. They have. I remember ever since I've started this raw vegan lifestyle, with of course with slips from time to time, but my mind is clearer, and also I'm much more relaxed. I remember, and when I say that to people, they don't understand it. You have to experience it yourself.
Exactly.
So we don't live to our full potential. So actually, the human race, I mean, we should have been, and we're the minority. The human beings have so much potential, which they're not, what's the word for it? Not fulfill your potential, realize. They're not realizing. We're not realizing our full potential, actually, and we're discovering it together, like. And we ourselves are still not there, and the more we see that, we understand that there's more out there. So I'm just, I don't know, what do you have to say about it? I'm just interested.
Yeah. There's an interesting relationship with these 2 ideas, and I have a mixture of both at times. On the one hand, I understand that there's always more, that I haven't reached my full potential. And on the other hand, I can come to the realization that I have so much potential that it may be possible that I will never reach it in one lifetime. So if I have the knowledge to know that I am a limitless, boundless being with ever evolving potential that I will never reach in one lifetime, it will take longer than one lifetime to reach my full potential. In that knowing, I can relax. I can let things be, because I'm not in a hurry to get there. Does that make sense?
Yes, I mean, it's not black and white. It's sort of, it's not, yeah, I understand what you're saying. And all right, one last question regarding, not too much, regarding what you've achieved in terms of health. All this lifestyle of fasting. You're saying you fasted for 14 days dry. what's your longest fast, dry fast? For how many days?
Yeah, after that, I stopped counting because I was literally subsisting off of the energy. I was doing Qigong, we were meditating, we were doing Qigong, we were exercising, and just spending long hours in nature and meditation. So there were times where during that dry period, when I felt my energy dip, I would simply go out into the sunlight and just stand there and just do Qigong. And after about 15 minutes, it was like my energy came back up. And I was doing that for days. And that's why I say that I started to go crazy a little bit, because I realized that I was doing something that was so beyond the norm of the majority of people that I was living with, that, I don't know, it was just, I can understand why people might think that they're afraid to be alone, because it can be a journey where you look around you and you don't see other people doing the same things that you're doing. So yeah, that was around the longest time that I was in that period where I wasn't putting anything into my body. I was just allowing myself to receive it from the forces. Yeah.
So what were the physical health benefits, spiritual, emotional? What do you feel?
Okay, I'll describe it to you. So one of the benefits was exercise. I was able to walk for miles and miles and miles. I think I was walking at least 10 miles a day at this point. And I had lost a lot of excess weight, but I felt good. Like I felt vibrant. I felt vigorous. Like there was so much energy within me, and I was able to just keep going. And it was almost as if exercise was not taking away, it wasn't draining energy, it was giving me energy, like a dynamo or like a turbine that's spinning, or like a windmill that's powering itself. It felt like I was powering my own body by physical movement. It was like movement nourishment, if that makes sense. So that was one of the abilities, if you would say. Another one was, if you've ever seen it on the X-Men, there's a character on X-Men, a Marvel superhero called Wolverine. Have you ever heard of this character?
I've heard about it, yeah.
Yeah, so Wolverine, apart from his adamantium shell, you know, his skeleton and his regenerative healing factor, he has a sense of smell that's unparalleled. So he can smell things like all around. And if you would have asked me when I was back in, you know, eating animal products, eating animal flesh in a denser lifestyle, feeling very heavy and burdened and encumbered, I couldn't smell anything. For the life of me, I couldn't smell someone passing gas, you know, someone flatulating. I couldn't smell the cooking in the kitchen. You know, I had to get right up my nose, right up into it. When I started fasting and letting go, and especially being dry for a certain period of detox, my nose, my olfactory sensitive came online. And I was like, what? I can smell it. And I would just walk. Can you imagine walking the aisles of a grocery store up and down, just smelling everything, and then just walking out? And you're not buying anything. You're not spending any money. You feel full. The cells feel satiated. And some of my favorite moments was just every day going into the Grand Central Market in downtown Los Angeles, walking up and down these aisles, smelling the food from all the vendors, and then walking away and feeling like I was completely full. That feeling was mind-blowing to me, you know, that I was eating, it felt like I was eating through my nose. So those are just two of the things that I started to experience with the exercise and with other senses that started to come online. One other thing is dreams. My dreams became very lucid, very vivid. It was like I was living in an entirely separate reality when I would go to sleep, and I couldn't even differentiate it from my waking life. It felt so real to the touch. Everything was just, and I could remember them all. Whereas before, I would have dreams that I just woke up and just completely forgot about, never really remembered. And I don't even really think I was sleeping. I think I was more in a restful or a restless state where I was just rolling over back and forth, tossing and turning, because I was always in a constant state of digestion. There was no, there was no resting for my system. So these were just a few things that started to come online for me. Yeah.
So your senses sharpened, your senses,
Yes, all of
you've realized your full potential. Like we are numb because of all the toxins and the thickness and heaviness, and it sort of cleans us, cleans the
Well,
system.
yeah, a lot of it. Yeah, I agree. I agree. A lot of it was the mucus, the toxicity, even, you know, the mucoid plaque. I'm sure I had parasites. I'm pretty positive that a lot of things came out of my body at that time. And at the same time, I don't think that that was even my full potential. I still had a feeling like if I'm just scratching the surface with this, what more could there be? You know, there has to be more. So that was just what was really expanding me, and was the most fascinating thing was that I have the rest of my entire life to see how far this goes, you know?
You're still exploring,
Right,
learning.
right.
Thank you, Jerome. Thank you very much.
Thank you for the question. Thank you.
Okay, guys, do you have any more questions?
It's Pauline here. I don't have a question, but I just want to affirm what Jerome has said. So when I get into fasting, I feel like I've got a poor sense of smell naturally, but when I've committed myself to long fasts, I feel like I've got a good sense of smell. I can smell things that I could never smell before. Then I'm very sharp. There are times I feel like a computer, especially when I'm working. If somebody has a question, there I am, I've got an answer to it. And but when I eat, oh my word, I'm like whatever word that you can use to describe it. Brain fog, can't think, you know, can't do things, constantly tired, lying on the couch. So the way I got into it is the first webinar that you did. You said that when you're living with the monks, you used to drink fluids until 12 o'clock. And after that, you drank nothing. And that's what I got myself into slowly by slowly. So drinking until 12 o'clock. From 12 o'clock, of course, I'm at work, I'm not drinking anything. And I found that very, kind of made me step up to the fasting world. So now I can go from Thursday to maybe Monday without any food, but drinking water. And through that, things like, because it's been up and down, I've not been consistent. Before I wasn't consistent at all. So you find like your blood sugar levels is high. I'm in medical, so I know when my blood sugar levels are high, blood pressure is high. And I thought, why am I putting myself through this? Why can't I just make a decision and go through that change? So now what I've done is that from Thursday, there's no food until Monday or Tuesday. You know, then depending on how I feel, I don't set goals. When I set goals with this lifestyle, I find that I break them. I start thinking about meals. So what I've decided is to take one step at a day, one day at a time, and surrender. I use the word surrender. I just surrender everything. And I find it so useful. So I want to thank you for that. And talking of dreams, I did a 9-day dry fast. And during that time, you're talking of lucid dreams, I could dream about maybe a friend of mine. I'll give an example. I dreamt about a friend of mine's child who was in hospital. I didn't know at the time. I called her in the morning or told her, this is the dream that I had about your son. And she said, Pauline, that is so true. The second dream was, oh, you're going somewhere or you're planning things with friends that will be held in your house. And she said, yeah, that is true. And those are the lucid dreams that I had. But when you explain it to somebody, they think you're potty, there's something wrong with you. Do you know what I mean? No, right. Seriously. So even this journey, I'm not discussing with the close people around me because I have tried, but all they do is discourage me. Mm-hmm. So I'm doing it and discussing with people in the group, and you know, I'm enjoying it. Actually, I really am enjoying it. It's life-changing. So thank you.
Yes, thank you. Thank you.
Well, Pauline, I must say that, like what you have just said, it's so inspiring. It just makes me want to invite you for the webinar so that you can share your experience if you're willing to do that. Yeah.
I'm very, do you know who introduced me to this? It's Jerome. I'm not sure if he remembers. I got into a Zoom phone call. I'm still very young. I'm just inspired in fact, I've just bought his book. By him. I've just inspired by him. And it's a journey that I want to tap into because I've seen the changes in my life and what sort of a person I am compared to what I was before. I feel like when I'm eating, I don't want to see an animal or horrible, but it's different when I'm fasting. I'm more humble, caring. I want to reach out to people and make a difference. That's what I've realized when I abstain from food.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. So you're practicing actually on a weekly basis, abstaining from food for like 3 days, something like that?
Yeah. But I don't set a time. I listen to my body and because when I set a time, I feel like I'm not consistent. I break it. It's like I get these challenges. Oh, you're hungry, eat, do this and that. But when I let go, just surrender and take 1 day at a time, I'm able to stay without food for 3 to 4 days.
Oh, very interesting. And during that time, you do drink only water or you also drink other beverages?
I drink only water.
Mm-hmm.
I drink only water.
Interesting. And how does your diet look like on other days when you do it?
So what I'm doing now, I followed somebody's detox. Here it is actually. I do a lot of fruits. I eat a lot of fruits and salads are good, but I find that when I eat salads, I want to add mayo on it. So I enjoy my fruits. So I'm eating things like pineapple, bananas, nuts, such kind of stuff. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Very interesting.
Yeah.
Very interesting.
So fruits and nuts, really.
Okay, Colin. So thank you very much for sharing. So we can be in touch. Maybe if you want to come one day and share your experience in a more thorough way, more detailed way, that would be of a great benefit, I'm sure, for everyone.
Yeah, sure. I'm going through the process. So yeah, let's see how it goes. Yeah, why
absolutely,
not?
Absolutely. Jerome, how do you pronounce your name? Is it Jerome or Jerome? How do you pronounce it?
It's Jerome. Yeah.
Jerome, because I thought it's Jerome. Excellent. Now, Jerome, we had another question here. Could you please ask Jerome on how to deal with cravings during the pranic journey? Mm-hmm. Also, what are the source? Okay, so actually, it might be divided into 2 parts. The first one is about cravings. And the second part, it's about what is the source of probiotics and how much is it necessary to consume them. So cravings and probiotics. Or maybe you could talk about the microbiome in general, your understanding on this microbiome, all these organisms living in our guts and in our organisms.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Yeah. That question, the first thing that comes to mind when I think about cravings, and this was before I even knew about any organisms that were living in my body. I mean, we hear about these things, but I didn't know about, the parasites. I didn't know about mucoid. I didn't know about these things that when I came into that awareness that these things could be living inside me and I could be actually giving a breeding ground or having an environment for these beings to be living within me and kind of eating what I'm eating. So kind of blocking me from getting the nourishments and maybe even tapping into my nervous system to make me crave the things that nourish them. When I started getting those concepts and those ideas, I became like vicious in trying to get it all out of my body. And then it came to a point of compassion. Interestingly enough, I started to have compassion for these parasites, saying to myself, okay, well, it's not the parasite's fault. I'm actually creating the terrain or giving them the place for them to have a host, for them to have a home, for them to feed off of the things within me that I'm putting inside me. So if those things are no longer in, then they have nowhere else to go. They have to exit. They have to be on their way when I'm not. So that, interestingly enough, gave me another level of love and compassion for things that I did not understand, and still coming into new understandings. And when it came to craving as well, understanding that if I didn't open a door, then I wouldn't have to close it again. So when I go to the grocery store and I see that certain items are highlighted, like the juice aisle, the coconut water, the different produce aisles, they'll be highlighted for me. But if I venture over here and I open the door to sushi, right? Or if I open the door to different types of, consumption, if I open that door, then I have to close it back. So I only crave what I consume, is what I'm saying. If I don't consume it, I usually don't crave it. But me craving, since the body holds memory, it holds everything that we've ever experienced, I have a craving for it because I've tasted it before. So I always have that in my mind before I open the door to something new, knowing that it's probably going to be pulling at me with those energetic chords and those energetic strings, wanting me to come back to it again. So that's how I start to eliminate cravings as well, not even thinking about that, maybe going and off and doing something else, focusing on what other activity I'd like to be doing and having that be my form of nourishment, versus trying to combat or trying to avoid or trying to repel thinking about eating. I'll just do something else. So there's a saying, I don't know if you've heard this, Arik, but it's like, the more you go to the West, the further you are from the East, if that makes sense.
Okay.
The more you go in that, the further you are from this direction. So instead of focusing on trying to avoid that direction, trying not to go there, just focus on where you're going. Don't place any attention on where you don't want to go or where you don't want to be. Place all the focus on where you want to be. Yeah.
Interesting, Jerome. Do you sometimes find yourself resisting temptations, like needing to apply to certain force in order to resist the temptations, to even direct yourself to another direction from something? Do you sometimes experience something like that?
The temptations that I have to resist are the ones that I've placed on myself, usually by partaking. If I partake, if I indulge, now I have things.
Okay.
Yeah. So the longer you go without, the easier about. It's the same way when we think about the neuroplasticity of the mind. Exactly. And how the neurons that fire together wire together. But if you spend a lot of time not firing those things, they start to untether, they start to uncouple, they start to disentangle themselves, and then new ones come online.
Yes, absolutely. So, but for example, on the practical level, Jerome, for example, you found yourself indulging in a particular kind of food, and then the next day, this pathway has been activated and you crave this particular food again. So what do you do then, like at that point?
At that point, you could do a reset. You could do a day of fasting and kind of reset yourself, take yourself away from it, and understand that it's just going to take time for these things to work their way out of your system. But while they're in your system, if it's in your body, it's on your mind. Yeah.
Okay. And also I wanted to ask from your experience about breaking the fast, or breaking the dry period, or breaking, when you're only on liquids, only on water. If you, after, let's say 72 hours or even more, if you want to introduce solid food again, how would you go? What's your experience in order not to overwhelm the system?
I would definitely take your time. Go slowly. There's been times where I've done the complete opposite, and I've just had a whole bunch after coming from a fast, and I would not wish that on anybody. The feeling.
I know. Yeah. I'm asking because honestly, I cannot say about myself that I have figured out how to break the fast in a completely smooth way, because I fast between 60 and 70 hours, some like on liquids and dry, pretty much every week nowadays. And but after that, after I break it, I tend to, like, my first day, I tend to be very sluggish. So I'm just willing to learn from the experience of other people, you know.
Right, right. You feel the drop. You know, you feel the drop in energy. You feel the
Yeah,
drop.
yeah, like you know, I cannot tell you that I am every time I'm fasting, I'm really high on energy, but I can definitely feel that when I introduce food, it takes lots of energy to digest it, and then some energy gets lost in this digestion, and I feel sluggish and brain fog and stuff like that. So I'm experimenting with different modalities of breaking the fast, but I'm willing to learn from you. What have you discovered?
Yeah. Yeah. So I've discovered, you know, when you're going back into it, start with lighter forms like fruits, even though fruits aren't my favorite, but that would be more of a easing you back into denser forms or heavier forms or heavy things to put it. Yeah, yeah. Instead of plunging and diving straight deep into, you know,
Exactly.
into all the heavy things that you used to have, if your body has adapted and adjusted to that frequency, when you a denser frequency inside, you're going to feel that vibration. You're going to feel how the effects it has on your energy. And it's just going to become even more apparent to you. I mean, for instance, there were times, Arik, where, I mean, I had a terrible, what you would call a caffeine habit, right?
Yeah.
So drinking, you know, energy drinks, Red Bulls, not really understanding that we are energy. We don't really need energy. Like, if we don't block that energy, then we have energy.
Yeah.
But I was a pseudo form of energy from all these drinks and coffees and Red Bulls and Monsters. And when I was able to fast for a certain point in time, even a little bit, like even like a chai tea, like a chai, I tasted and it felt like I had poisoned myself. It felt like I had ingested, and that never used to happen back when I was used to that. So there's a saying that goes, if you can wake up, you can go back to sleep. You know, if you can become light, become dense again. If your body can learn to live here, it can understand how to go back there. It takes time. So if you push yourself and you try to force yourself to feel that, it's gonna happen, but it might happen, you know, not the way that you think it will. Yeah.
Yeah. I think it's a great. It requires great mastery, you know, to know how to live in a higher state, like more towards the pranic state, but also how to live well on a more dense state, and then go there again and get back there again. It's a great learning process how to do that.
Exactly. And you just pointed out something so brilliant. The mastery, the level of mastery. I mean, think about this, Arik. We have become masters at levels of consumption. I mean, when you think about, okay, I'm hypothesizing our Paleolithic ancestors, right?
Yeah.
Paleolithic, migrating, you know, eating off the land, or they didn't have grocery stores, they didn't have pantries, they didn't have, you know, refrigerators and freezers to store all this. And I'm sure that we were able to go long periods without eating, long periods. Whereas today, where we have an abundance, where we have choices, selections, we can choose from, you know, something chewy, something tangy, something sweet, something crunchy, we have all these selections today. And we've grown to this level where the body is able to be over 300 pounds, some people over 600 pounds, and you're still alive. You're still alive, you know, out against all odds. You're still alive and still functioning, still even the wheelchair that you might see people in the wheelchair in the grocery store, grabbing food from the aisles and putting it into the basket of the wheelchair. Right? And they're still alive. So that's amazing. That's a testament to our power to go to great lengths.
You know, absolutely.
That's power.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah, Jeremy. So we're going to wrap it up soon, our meeting tonight. I just have two questions. If you talk to this person who lives a really conventional lifestyle, like eating conventional standard American diet, like working in a standard place, and stuff like that, but they have this inner urge to refine their life, to make it better, maybe to change their diet and stuff like that. So how would you work with this person? What strategy would you develop in order for them to get to the higher level? I'm not talking here about Briterian levels, but just to higher level of consciousness, of enjoying life,
Start with what you have right where you are. If you feel that you enjoy dancing, that it has fulfillment for you. If you feel like you enjoy yoga, meditation, or just walking, or just exercising, or even just having a conversation with someone that you enjoy, whatever is following your bliss, following your highest joy, following that feed you, the things that are feeding you in life. When you follow that, I feel like it can't steer you wrong. You can't go wrong when you follow the things that light you up.
Okay. So first we would need to help them define what ignites them. Yeah, what makes them happy in life. Yeah, and then to do some steps on the practical level to follow that bliss. Yeah.
Because that's its own energy. When you're doing things that you enjoy, you get energy from that. That's its own form of nourishment.
Yeah.
And so finding what that means to you is going to be different for everybody, because everybody is different. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, well said. And my second question, probably the last one, unless someone else has any more questions, is we have lots of very creative people in this group, in this fasting group, who probably would love to maybe publish their own books and to create. And you have published 2 books so far. So if a person wants to publish their own books and lets them sell that book on Amazon, like you are doing, so how do you do that? Like, what are the practical steps of doing that?
Yeah. Nice question, Arik. Thank you for asking. Yeah, this is actually the 5th book that I've published. So I have 5 books.
Wow. So you have 5 books right now on Amazon, yeah?
At this moment, yes.
Wow,
yes.
That's amazing. And by the way, so we will get back to that question, but what are the subjects of the other books, of the other 3?
Oh yeah, well, there's a book on sun gazing. There's a book on finding inner peace. And these were 2 I started with: Finding Inner Peace, A Guide to the Wisdom Within, and then also Sun Gazing for Success. When I started sun gazing, that was another method of getting more nourishing, getting more energy from a solar power, from another source, communicate cosmic intelligence. I felt that on such a level that I wanted to make a book about it, and so when I started doing research on it and I realized that this is an ancient practice and that people were doing this before I was even here, before I was alive.
Yeah.
It fascinates me. So just start with an idea, start with something that you have. And I always stress, and I let people know, not to impress you, but to impress upon you that if you have a voice, your voice has value. And if you have an idea, if you have something inside you that you would like to express, that imposter syndrome of thinking that, oh, I can't do this because I don't have enough experience, or I'm not an expert, or it's not perfect. Well, you don't have to get it right. You just have to get it going. You can just have an idea that can inspire somebody else to inspire somebody else. You never know where that energy stops. And a lot of the times when we beat ourselves down and we think that we don't have the ability to do these things that we see other people's doing, it just comes from that imposter syndrome of our own self-image. But if you are just even 1 chapter ahead, you can help somebody else. You can help somebody next to you, even if you know just a little bit more, even if you experience just a little bit more from your own test, from your own testimony, you can touch someone else's life. And with this technology that we have available today, all it takes is a touch of a button. Everyone that touched that button that came into this room today, I have nothing but appreciation and gratitude for you for watching this right now, because you didn't have to watch this, you didn't have to be a part of this, but you are. And so when you have something within you that you want to give to the world, don't wait, don't hesitate, because, you know, time's not going to wait for anyone. In fact, that's really what we make it. It's a created thing. So we make the time, we create the time. Yeah.
Absolutely, Jerome. So let's say I have my book typed, yeah, like on my computer. Now, so what would be the next step up to the point when it appears on Amazon and people can purchase it and it's all, you know, edited and stuff like that? So what to do?
kdp.amazon.com. Make a quick little what do you call it? It's free. It's free to make an account. Make an account.
Yeah.
kdp.amazon.com. And it's like direct publishing. And then you just submit it. And then they approve it. And it's up there. And it's done. And when you've done it one time, you don't have to do it again. It's done. It's there.
Okay.
But the cool thing about it is, even when it's finished, it's not set in stone. You can always go back and change it. So if I wanted to make an edit to the book, if I wanted to change the cover, if I wanted to change the, you know, the contents of it, I could go back in and I could do that. So it's not like I wasn't trying to stress being perfect. I was trying to stress more being effective. How can I get this out there for somebody to have it, you know, for it to be available? So that would be the step. Going on Amazon.com, creating just a quick profile, a quick account that's free for you to do, doesn't cost you anything. And then when you list it, they charge you for the shipping cost, but it just takes out of what you would make. So it literally doesn't cost you anything but your own time and your own effort for you to make.
Interesting. And what about illustrating or designing the cover and stuff like that? How does it go?
So there's so many places today, Arik, you know, so many resources, and not for lack of resources, but you have the resourcefulness to be able to find these outlets. One of them is Fiverr.com, and that's one that I've used for so many things. I've used it for the cover art for my podcast. I've used it for book covers. I've used it for, you know, voiceover things on my podcast. And there are people that are willing to do this work, willing time and energy for just $5 on Fiverr.com. That's Fiverr, 2 R's.com. And when you go to Fiverr.com, you can look up anything, graphic design, book cover, book titles, and people are willing to give this energy for that exchange. So if you want to put in the time, you can put in the money, the form of currency, to give to somebody else who they will put in the time to allow your idea to come to life, to bring it to fruition.
Okay. And once it is on Amazon, do they sell it in e-form and in a published form, like on printed on paper, both of them?
Yes. So the ebook form would be on Kindle, because Amazon.
Yes.
And there's also audiobooks. So I have audiobooks now with audible.com. And then the other part would be paperback. So just converting it to paperback. And once you get going, you get growing.
Amazing. And with Audible, is it something that you can also do the same way? Like you can just narrate your book and then they publish it there?
You have options there as well. So you can narrate your own book and you could put that in Audible and you submit it and they approve it. And then that's on your book. Or what I did was I went out and I hired voice actors or people who already were in the field of narration. And this is their specialty. They have the equipment, they have the professionalism to be able to bring your project into a way that is very, you know, very good for somebody to consume in that audio form, because audiobooks are all the rage today. People, they don't have time. They say their schedules, they want to be able to listen to your book while they're driving. So some people, they don't want to sit down and just read it like this. They want to read it while they're walking.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Okay, dear Jerome. So I think we're going to wrap it up. Guys, do you have any more questions?
Just one. You know, you've got my Pranic planner. is it like, have you got room for journaling? Because I'm in this journey, I want to be writing my experiences, but I can't find, I've got a notebook, but I wanted something, you know, with dates and times, or, you know, in line with what I'm doing. So you've got my Pranic planner. That's what I'm asking. Has it got, how is it? Has it got room for writing your experiences, your emotions, and such kind of stuff?
Yeah, so I have one that is a journal, it's a Pranic journal, and then another one that is a planner. So I have two of those. So the one that's the Pranic journal, that's just got your journal entry pages. And so you can write whatever experiences you have in there. The planner has like the days of the week. It also has, you know, what you would put on for your breakfast, lunch, dinner, etc. for that, your forms of consumption or your forms of nourishment. Then it also has different tasks, you know, what you want to do today, the things you want to plan for. So that's more for like the organizational planning type of individual who wants to plan things. And then the other one, you can also write experiences. So both you can write down your experiences and things that come up for you, but they both serve kind of different purposes as well. Yeah.
Jerome, and is it something that you have created yourself?
Yes, these are both as well on Amazon. Yeah.
Ah, wow, wow, amazing, amazing. Okay, guys, anything else?
Yeah, hey Jerome, I have a question or two for you.
Hi there. Oh,
Yeah,
there she is.
yeah. So my first question is, you talked about fasting. So what's your idea about doing enema? Is it necessary, or can someone do about it, or is there any alternate that one doesn't do enema, or there's another way, you know, that the fasting results are good?
Mm-hmm. So doing enemas?
Yeah, that's right.
Okay, thank you for this question. Thank you for the, you know, enemas are so powerful. I've done a lot of enemas. The only enemas that I have done have been with my own water. Now, I know this might be a controversial subject. We might be getting into other areas, Arik, I don't know, but enemas that I've ever done have been oran enemas, and it's been with my water that I've allowed to sit for a period of time. And it's been immensely powerful. I mean, I've struggled to hold in those types of enemas for even 5 minutes, but I hold it in as long as I can. And when you release on that level, you know, rectally, you're releasing things like, I mean, you'll see a lot of things. Have you done enemas?
Not yet. Not really confident to start. That's where I am taking some inputs.
Okay. Well, it's to my experience, it's safe. You know, there's nothing really to worry about. It will empty you from the bottom down. Like whenever I was drinking my water and flushing my system, purging that way was like a top-down enema. So I was getting things out from the top down. When you go from the bottom up and you're allowing things to release that way, things that might be lodged in the system and plugged in the system that really are stubborn. There's some stubborn things that we hold on to that need just a little help to get out. And enemas can be a powerful way to really release those things that we have trouble getting out just through other means, you know, and it can happen quick. That's why I think enemas, people are drawn to enemas, because it's so fast that, you know, they say, okay, I might as well just do this. Some people, they're religious about enemas. So I will say that it'll happen very quickly and on a level that you'll feel the difference. You'll feel that weight come out of you, you know, come off of you.
What if we get addicted to it, you know, over the period of time, and then only through enema, you know, we are able to flush out? That's what also I want to understand.
Well, I haven't become addicted to them. I'll speak from my own experience. It hasn't been a sensation that I've necessarily been addicted to, but it's another modality, as we've been speaking of, that can have tremendous effects when it comes to getting things out of the body. Now, for the person who becomes addicted to that form, you know, like they say, it's never as good as the first time, you know, kind of going into those cycles of maybe putting things in and then getting things out and putting things in.
Yeah.
It can seem kind of like a fail-safe almost like a reset button that you can push at any time because you know that you can. And you know, there is an attraction to that in that way, but I wouldn't worry so much about that. From you, it sounds like you're just venturing into that as a mode of healing for you. It sounds like you're just trying it out. Yeah.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Okay. So yeah, I wouldn't worry too much about it, but I'd be interested to know your experience. If you ever do try it, definitely give me a shout. Let me know what your experience was. Yeah.
Sure. Right. Yeah. So I'm gonna try it soon, Jerome. And
Awesome.
yeah, thank you for answering this. And I have another question. So I have been doing sun gazing, and over the period of time, it's been like on and off. I do it for a few days, and either due to weather or due to my own, occupancy, I'm not able to like continue it and be regular in this. So, what would be your suggestion in this regard? So, if I start it over after a break, should I start it within the same duration, or should I reduce my sun gazing duration, and how do I go about it?
So one more time, you said you were sun gazing for a period.
Yeah, so it's like I'm doing it on and off. I'm not doing it regularly. That's the thing, and that is because of sometimes weather, and sometimes due to I'm being busy and I'm not able to make time to go out and do sun gazing. So
Right.
I'm not able to reap benefits as much as I should have got, right? So
Right.
when I start it over again, what should be the thing? Like they say we should reduce the duration and start it from somewhere some few minutes earlier. So what is your experience in that regard?
Great one. I've never been asked this before. That's awesome. So the way that I feel about it is that, you know, we usually only take on as much as the body is able to handle. And it's almost like you're plugging yourself into an outlet. When I was sun gazing and then when I was receiving that light, the more that I did it, the more I could do it. You know, the more that you do, the more you can do. And then consequently, the more you want to do, the more you seek to do, the more you enjoy doing. And so when it came to sun gazing, it's like the best times that I started doing it were 1 hour before sunset or 1 hour after sunrise. And those were the best times to really take in the sun. And I started with only like 5 minutes, and that could grow to 10 minutes. And then it got to the point where I could just be staring at it for a whole half hour. And it felt very interesting to stare at that point in time. But whenever I would take a break, whenever I stopped for a period of time and went back, it was as though I wasn't able to do it for that complete duration because I wasn't in the habit of doing it. And my body might have gone to a place where, you know, receiving all that light, it's like once your phone is at 100%, it doesn't make keep charging it. It's not going to charge over 100, you know, it's already complete. So you can take it like that, you know. Yeah.
And then what do you think, while you're gazing at sun, what all thoughts you create consciously at that time?
It's very relaxing, you know. It's very relaxing. It slows down your heartbeat. It gets you into a meditative state where I had this contemplation and relaxation of being able to appreciate where I was in the present moment. A lot of times in the mind, we're in the future, we're in the past, but when you're in the present moment and you can have that peace, just gazing at the sun and just feeling filled with that light. Like they say, the sun, after all these years, it's never told the earth, you owe me. It still comes out. You're able to that kind of love that it touches, it gives life to everything, and it never discriminates. It's never asking, are you a good or a bad person? And it's giving love to you anyway. So when that love is coming directly into you via your eyes, you start to, it starts to shine within and without. So thank you, because you're just giving me memories. You know, I appreciate this.
Yeah, just one small last thing. So sometimes I find myself like juggling to be present when I'm doing sun gazing. Other thoughts, they overpower me. So do you had such experience? How did you overcome it?
There was an audio that I used to listen to, and it was a guided meditation on Insight Timer. I don't know if you have this app. There's an application for meditation called Insight Timer, and
Okay.
send it to you. It was just this one little meditation. It was 10 minutes. And I would get up, I would put in my headphones, I would listen to this sun meditation, and I would just gaze at the light of the sun. And that would keep my focus there, to have some music in the background or to have something soft playing, just gazing at the sun. It would allow me to have my mind in the moment instead of worrying about what I need to do today, what I haven't done yet. I could just be there. Yeah.
Got it. Yeah. All right. Thank you so much, Jerome. It was really helpful and nice talking to you. Yeah.
You as well. You as well. Much love.
Yeah. Thank you.
All right.
Okay, Rita, so do you want to ask something or we're going
Yes,
to wrap it up? Okay.
Yeah. I
Okay.
want
And unfortunately, I do have. Okay.
You have some.
Yeah.
You have to
Just
go.
if I have a meeting. Sorry, I didn't know that it would run into a consultation that I have to give in just a few moments here. But
Okay, no problem, Jerome. So then we can maybe schedule some other time, like because people have much more questions. So if you don't mind, yeah,
I'm glad.
maybe a few weeks from now. So I just wanted to ask you the last thing. So in addition to the books that you have on Amazon, do you provide any personal coaching or any other services that people can get from you if they contact you?
Absolutely, absolutely, and that's what I'm about to go and do now. I have a client who's coming to me for a consultation, so I do coaching as well. Those links you can find on my Instagram at Jerome Shaw. And anyone who has had questions that have not been answered so far, feel free to hit me in WhatsApp. You know, message me, send me something direct, either on Instagram or WhatsApp, and I would love to have a talk with you as well.
Yeah, that's really cool. And we will put all the contact details and all the links below this video. So so they will be able to find everything. Okay, Jerome, thank you so much. And I really appreciate. We'll be in touch about our next meeting. Bye-bye.
All right. Thank you, everyone. Take care.
Thank you. Bye, guys. Bye-bye. Thank